Yeah. Well, that's okay. We can. I want to go over the new CCM Axis stuff.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I was in the older model. Well, recently before I went to the Bauers, I was in Premier Twos,
Hmm.
and I love them. I absolutely love them, and I would love to be in a CCM pad again, but um, I don't know with I don't really know how things are gonna look and feel with them being out on
Hmm.
their own. So maybe you can dive a bit into your opinion on the new Axis series they come out with. What's your take on the quality, the features, and does it sort of meet up or exceed their usual expectations?
So yeah, and I've been very, very fortunate that uh, one of the things that's happened with Goalie Gear Nerd that I never expected was how receptive the brands were very early on to kind of what I was doing. I didn't seek them out; they really kind of
Right.
came to me and said, "Hey, we like what you're doing." And then that over time led to kind of more in depth relationships, and again, me having opportunities to peek behind the curtain and things like that. What's nice with CCM specifically, to your question, I've been able to get several years running, kind of like have a chance to look at their gear. And one of the big things I always try to do is I try to always get, although custom colors, I always try to get stock specs because what I don't want to do is test stuff that is radically different than if you go to a retail store
Right.
and pick up off the shelf because I don't think I'm adding much value then.
Right.
So the teams that are, as I said to earlier, that made my P2s and my E-Flex 4s are the exact same team that made my Axis pads. So
Mm,
I have seen zero quality difference in term, because again, it's coming from the
yeah.
same group. And it just, again, me being fortunate enough to have a relationship with the people there. I noticed that when my pads were coming, there was actually a small, and I need to do a feature on it. There's a small reinforced area in the thigh rise that they put on that they capped very, 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 very late in the process. And they said, really some very final testing. We found that durability, and that's a very specific part. It's a very small part of their thigh rise. You can see probably about a half an inch black strip on the medial side of the face. So they
Mm,
didn't quite meet our durability threshold. So we threw this on there. Aesthetically, I think it's so small you barely ever see it. In fact,
yeah.
I don't know if anybody else has even spoken about it. But the CCM's credit, they were so dialed into concerns about, okay, is this thing going to perform the way we want it to? That they made a very last minute change and added it to the pad, which I thought was, really a testament to how seriously they take it. These, you know, I think there's always a perception that these big companies, they just have, a bunch of design people that are sitting around, and then they get a memo that day that, hey, you're going to design leg pads today. That's not true. The people they're working in CCM's goalie department and Bauer's goalie department and Warriors goalie department, the big quote unquote big brands, they are goalies, and this is all they do. This is all they focus on. So that's awesome. But in terms of the specific specs in the pad, they have what they call the light core technology, and it makes the pad very, 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 very light, and it is a very light pad.
Mm,
But what's nice is that coupled with the fact that they've gone to essentially what they call like a max rebound technology as well to make those
yeah.
more lively, powerful rebounds. They did all that, but what they also did was they softened the boot up from the Premier. I found the boot a lot softer. Again, that optimal um, balance between a stiffer thigh rise and
Right.
that flex boot. I really, really, really like that. The quick motion strap, I still am in love with it. I think it's, again, it's really now becoming an industry standard to have a strap at the top of that calf because it ensures that my leg doesn't come off the knee block at all,
Right.
which is awesome. And I will say, kind of lastly on it, one of the things I just like about CCM pads in general is they have really, really soft knee blocks. They have these 3D printed kind
Yeah.
of knee block
Really
system.
comfortable.
Oh, so comfortable, so
Yeah.
nice. And us goalies who are just continuing to age, that is becoming more and more and more important. So
I'm getting
and
into that category now.
we all are. And I know, from an aesthetic perspective, I know people, it's gotten, people have various opinions about it. I credit CCM for doing something really bold. I think one of the things I was fortunate enough to go up there a couple of years ago, and I did some surveys prior. Just with goalies and kind of put a couple surveys out there about people's perception of CCM. And at the time, I told them, I said, look, your per my survey, your brand is considered to be the most they associate with hockey. CCM was, but
Mm,
from a innovation perspective, they were way behind.
mm.
And they took that very, very seriously. And I'm not saying that it was me that
Yeah, yeah,
no
for
way am
sure.
I trying to imply that. But what I'm saying was they very much are trying to be for the customer what the customer needs, and they realize we need to really hit the gas on innovation. That needs to be our focus and things like that. And if you do all these things and you put another boring face on the pad, then people are going to say, what really changed? I mean, they were going to come out with something that that can look awesome. And again, I've seen some really, really awesome Axis designs, and it's one of the only design I've ever seen that I like some of the more white based designs than some of the dark based ones. And I have a dark based one. Now seeing some
Yeah.
of the white ones, I'm going, ooh, that actually looks even better. It's
Yeah,
usually
they
the
got those
inversion.
nice little accents across the whole pad.
Right, exactly. So that's my
Yeah.
long-winded Axis spiel.
No, it's good. I'm just curious for people considering them. Who exactly do you think the Axis series pad is for in terms of style of goalkeeper, or can people considering to get them over the other sets?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's as I said, from a rebound perspective, it's someone who wants a they definitely have some velocity when the puck comes off of them, but they will also can give you some give if you want it. The boot is so soft. So for goalies like me, I like to play really over my toes because I have to be fast because again, I'm not covering a lot of net.
Mm,
And so I need to make sure that I can really flex over my toes, and you can do that in the Axis, as well as having that really stiff upper, thigh rise. If you're someone who, just keeping it within the CCM family, if you're someone who goes, I like the E flexes a lot, but it's almost a little bit too squishy, or I really want that flat face, because that's the advantage of a flat face is you're getting a very consistent rebound. Versus things can be a little bit different off of knee rolls, and you want something that's like really super modern. Yeah, Axis is definitely the way to go.
mm. Well, since we're talking about CCM and Bauer,
Hmm.
uh, there's all this talk now, everything being made in China and the production quality dropping, and I don't really notice, but I don't really notice the prices dropping. They're only going higher.
Hmm. Yeah.
So going forward, do you see the producing in China thing as an issue that will affect the quality, or is that just a myth going on right now?
I really don't, because again, one of the misconceptions had been in terms of there is absolutely this institutional knowledge that the Lefevre family has for doing what they've done, how they've done it for as long as they've done it. And I think that's completely fair. And they are craftsmen, they are designers, and they've been doing this for a very, very, very long time. Completely get that. But the material that they were using, and again, they were only making stuff for the pros and
Mhm.
for people that were playing major, junior, and D1. The Gen Pro that was on their shelves, the foam that was on their shelves, the materials that they were using were literally the exact same ones that was in the other CCM building operations. The
Yeah.
exact same suppliers. And in fact, the irony was that for a long time, Lefevre actually had less Gen Pro color options because they had a smaller office. And so some people, like when Speedskin came out, started going, "Oh, why aren't any of the pros wearing Speedskin in a color other than white?" That's and it was because they literally couldn't fit in the rolls inside the building. They actually had a trailer out back for a bunch of extra material. And I understand the conversation about I think there is something to be said for companies like Brian's, company like Lefevre, and there are a host of other smaller companies that are making gear in North America. And I think that's I again, I think there is this institutional knowledge, and there's this being proud of a heritage, and the fact that you're making the gear there. I think that there's absolutely a place for that. Is the customer at the retail level going to see a quality difference now with CCM? No, because again, it's the same teams. These are dedicated teams that this is what they do. This whole perception that, oh, they're making goalie gear this week and they're making soccer balls next. That's not true. That's not how the real world
They're making
works.
masks.
No, and it's completely erroneous. And they have CCM employees that are there, living there, overseeing things. The goalie
Uh,
design teams are typically flying over several times a year to advise them, to oversee production. There was a really cool image I have of a Warrior pad. I gotta find it. It was one of the. I'm trying to remember which model it was, but it was a Warrior pad, and all the different areas of the pad were a different color. It looked like a rainbow. And so,
Yeah.
what it's actually what this is how we show the sewers the various areas and pieces. And okay, when you're gonna make this outer roll for that's blue, this is how you actually sew this into the pad and things like that. They're doing that level of the level
Quality control,
quality
right?
control. And it is a very, very robust. Both companies take that extremely seriously because they know that there is a huge difference between the perception and the reality. They can only control the perception to a point. They can control the reality, and they put a lot of resources into to doing that. And in my opinion, they do a pretty darn good job.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's I love it, man. This conversation, we're getting through it here. I could talk to you for hours about this 'cause there's so many misconceptions, right? I mean,
And I could talk about this for hours, as I'm sure is painfully obvious to you and your listeners at this point. So
no, it's okay. That's why we bring you on because we never talk about gear, right? And it's good to chat, but we're gonna dive more now
okay,
into some of your favorites, and I want to get your take. And so before we dive into some of the hottest gear items that you specifically like going into the new season, you mentioned to me that you don't believe there's just one or two best brands, and that's all about it's all about aligning each goalie's personal preference and playing style, with the different gear and the different specs. And maybe you can just touch on that briefly and tell us why you think that.